The day I became a villain in my husband's eyes started with a wedding and ended with a death. On our wedding day, Carter Hall's father took his own life in our new home. He left a suicide note, blaming me for his death. From that day forward, Carter despised me to the core. He said, "Lindsay Thompson, you deserve to rot in hell, atoning for your sins for the rest of your life." The editor reminds you. Search 79,203 on the GoodNovel app to read the full story. Wonderful content continues to play. Part 1. Eventually, just as he wished, I wandered the streets, mute and half insane, living a life worse than a stray dog. But then, he regretted it. Someone snapped a picture of me, filthy and rummaging through a dumpster for plastic bottles, and posted it online. It quickly went viral, sparking a storm of comments. "The prettiest dumpster diver. Hey, quiet little one, the netizens seem to be really interested in you." I took small bites of the bagel, listening quietly as Marcus Dale read the comments aloud. He pushed his hair back and continued reading from his phone. "Isn't she Lindsay Thompson, the eldest daughter of the Thompson family? I've got the photos as evidence, it's definitely her. She's the one who obsessed over Carter Hall and even caused his father's death." At this, Marcus fell silent. My entire body went rigid, and I almost dropped the bagel. Out of the corner of my eye, I could see the enlarged photo on his screen. The woman was smiling brightly, while the man beside her looked indifferent. It was a picture from our wedding day. It had been 3 years since I last heard that name. The flutter in my heart had long since been replaced by fear. My first instinct was to run. "Don't worry, quiet little one. I'll protect you. Soon, I'll take you far away from here." Marcus noticed my reaction. He didn't ask me anything, he just comforted me gently. For 3 years, I had been homeless, scorned by everyone. Only Marcus was willing to approach me, to help me. He often said these words to me. Though I'm not smart, I understood in my heart that this time, he truly couldn't help me. I returned to my rundown shack, gathered up the recyclables I had collected, and prepared to sell them before disappearing. But no matter how quickly I moved, I was still too late. As I dragged the bag to the door, a cold, male voice cut through the air. "Lindsay Thompson, where do you think you're going?" In the sweltering summer sun, a chill ran down my spine. Even after 3 years of not hearing it, I recognized that voice instantly. My palms turned clammy, clutching the bag tightly as my heart pounded against my chest. The terror I had buried deep inside surged back, overwhelming me. Footsteps echoed on the ground as he approached me, closer and closer. Finally, unable to stand, I collapsed, curling up on the ground, my body trembling uncontrollably. Carter Hall. He still wasn't willing to let me go. The past that I had run from for 3 years had caught up to me, and I was powerless to escape it this time. Search 79,203 on the GoodNovel app to read the full story. Wonderful content continues to play. Part 2. Carter's eyes bored into me, filled with an unquenchable fury that sent shivers down my spine. He took a step closer, his polished shoes stopping just inches away from my collapsed form. "Get up," he ordered, his voice cold and authoritative. I tried, my limbs trembling as I pushed myself to my knees, but my body refused to cooperate fully. The years of hardship had taken their toll. I was weaker, frailer, and seeing him again had drained me of any strength I had left. I stared at the ground, my breath coming in short, shallow bursts. He watched me struggle for a moment, and then I heard the sound of him sighing, an annoyed, almost disgusted sound. Without a word, Carter reached down, his hand wrapping around with a vice-like grip. He pulled me up, his fingers digging into my skin, forcing me to stand. "I didn't come here to watch you cower," he hissed, his face inches from mine. "You can run from this, Lindsay. You can run from me." My lips parted, but no words came out. My throat felt dry, the terror making it impossible for me to speak. I looked into his eyes, searching for any trace of the man I once knew, the man who had, at one point, held me close and promised to protect me. But all I saw now was a stranger filled with hatred. Carter didn't wait for me to respond. He pulled me towards his car, practically dragging me along the ground. I stumbled behind him, my bare feet scraping against the hot pavement. The world blurred around me, my heart pounding so hard that it drowned out everything else. He shoved me into the back seat of his car, the door slamming shut behind me. I sat there, my body pressed against the far side of the car, trembling. He got into the driver's seat, slamming the door with enough force to make me jump. For a long moment, he said nothing, his hands gripping the steering wheel tightly. Then finally, he spoke, his voice low, filled with an emotion I couldn't place. "Do you have any idea what it's been like, looking for you all this time? You think you could just disappear, and I would let it go, after everything you did?" I stayed silent, my eyes fixed on my hands which were twisted together in my lap. There was nothing I could say that would make a difference. He wouldn't believe me. He never had. Carter started the car, his knuckles white as he gripped the steering wheel. "You're coming back with me, Lindsay," he said, his voice leaving no room for argument. "I'm not done with you yet." The words were like a death sentence, each syllable cutting through me, leaving me feeling hollow. I had spent 3 years running, hiding, trying to build a life where I could at least survive, if not live. And now, in an instant, it had all been torn away. I turned my head, looking out the window as the car began to move. The rundown streets, the places I had called home, blurred into the distance. I felt the tears welling up, my heart aching with the knowledge that whatever awaited me, it wouldn't be freedom. It wouldn't be the life I had tried to carve out for myself. Carter drove in silence, his eyes focused on the road ahead. The air in the car was suffocating, heavy with unspoken words and resentment. I could feel his anger, simmering just beneath the surface, ready to explode at any moment. We arrived at a sprawling estate, Carter's family home. The place where my nightmare had begun. He opened my door, yanking me out of the car before I even had a chance to gather myself. The house loomed before me, its grandeur now more a prison than a sanctuary. He pulled me through the front doors, his grip unrelenting. The staff, who once greeted me with smiles, now watched with guarded expressions, their eyes filled with something that resembled pity or perhaps fear. Carter pushed me into a small room, the door slamming shut behind me. I stumbled, falling to my knees on the cold, marble floor. I heard the lock click, sealing me in. The walls closed in, the air feeling thin and stifling. I looked around the room, my heart sinking. There was nothing here, no windows, no furniture, nothing but four walls and a locked door. I was trapped, just as he wanted me to be. The past I had run from had caught up to me, and this time there was no Marcus to comfort me, no one to save me. I was alone, and Carter Hall would make sure I stayed that way. Want to know more? Search 79203 on the GoodNovel app to read the full story.